Can a struggling franchise in rebuild mode justify mortgaging premium assets for 34-year-old rental? Or does Ryan O'Reilly represent the exact veteran leadership Montreal's injury-ravaged roster desperately needs? The hockey world loves nothing more than a good contradiction, and right now, the Montreal Canadiens are serving up a fascinating one. Here's a franchise that's supposedly building for tomorrow, stockpiling young talent and preaching patience to a fan base that's been waiting over 3 decades for another Stanley Cup parade. Yet, simultaneously, they're circling the carcass of the Nashville Predators' disastrous season like vultures, eyeing veteran center Ryan O'Reilly with the kind of intensity usually reserved for contenders making their final push. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, this isn't the contradiction it appears to be. Let's establish the brutal reality facing Kent Hughes and the Canadiens' front office right now. This isn't just about wanting to upgrade the second-line center position behind Captain Nick Suzuki, though that's been a glaring need since the franchise traded away Philip Danault years ago. No, this situation has evolved from preference to absolute necessity, from strategic planning to crisis management. Alex Newhook, out long-term. Kirby Dach, the player they surrendered significant assets to acquire from Chicago, sidelined indefinitely. Patrick Lane, the sniper they brought in to provide offensive firepower, watching from the press box in street clothes. Suddenly, Montreal's center depth looks less like an NHL roster and more like a MASH unit triage list. The desperation move to sign Alexander Texier, a player the St. Louis Blues literally bought out of his contract, tells you everything you need to know about how dire the situation has become. When you're picking up another team's discarded pieces just to fill roster spots, you're not operating from a position of strength. The O'Reilly proposition. Championship pedigree meets affordable luxury. Enter Ryan O'Reilly, stage left, carrying with him the kind of resume that makes general managers salivate and accountants smile simultaneously. Let's talk credentials first. This isn't some washed-up veteran clinging to relevance. This is a legitimate Stanley Cup champion from 2019, a player who didn't just ride shotgun during that Blues championship run, he drove the damn bus, capturing the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. O'Reilly knows what championship hockey looks like, feels like, demands. He's been in the pressure cooker and emerged victorious. Now, examine the contract, $4.5 million annually with a year and a half remaining. In today's inflated NHL salary cap environment, where mediocre third-liners command $3 million and genuine top-six centers routinely exceed $6 to $7 million, O'Reilly's deal represents exceptional value. It's the kind of contract that doesn't handcuff your cap structure while still delivering legitimate NHL production. Speaking of production, let's address the elephant in the room, O'Reilly's age and current season statistics. At 34 years old with 6 goals and 13 points through 22 games, the surface-level numbers don't exactly scream impact acquisition. But context matters enormously here. O'Reilly is playing for the worst team in the NHL, a Nashville squad sitting at 6-12- for a franchise in complete freefall after an off-season spending spree that's backfired spectacularly. They just absorbed an 8-3 beatdown from Florida, and general manager Barry Trotz has essentially thrown his hands up in frustration, openly discussing roster teardowns and checking with player agents about trade interest. Playing meaningful minutes on a dysfunctional, losing team will crater anyone's statistics. O'Reilly's underlying metrics, his defensive responsibility, face-off proficiency, and hockey IQ remain elite. These are skills that don't deteriorate with age the way pure speed or physical dominance might. The price tag, steep but potentially justified. Here's where this gets interesting, where Montreal's front office will earn their salaries or face withering criticism. According to TSN's Pierre Lebrun, Nashville's asking price for O'Reilly isn't some bargain bin special. They're demanding a first-round pick and an A-level prospect just to start the conversation. That's a significant investment. That's the kind of package contenders surrender when they're one piece away from championship contention. The Tampa Bay Lightnings and Colorado Avalanches of the world make these moves. Teams in Montreal's current position, young, developing, still figuring out their identity, typically don't. But let's play devil's advocate for a moment. What if the Canadiens aren't as far away as conventional wisdom suggests? Nick Suzuki is a legitimate number one center, a 24-year-old captain producing at a high level. Cole Caulfield is an elite goal scorer when healthy. Juraj Slavkovsky, the first overall pick from 2022, is showing flashes of becoming a dominant power forward. Lane Hutson, on defense, looks like a future North Star candidate. The goaltending tandem of Sam Montembeault and Caden Primo has been surprisingly competent. Add a healthy Patrick Lane to that mix. Insert Ryan O'Reilly as your second-line center providing championship experience and two-way excellence, and suddenly you're not looking at a bottom feeder. You're looking at a potential playoff team in the Eastern Conference. The Nashville fire sale, Trott's brutal honesty berry. Trotz isn't playing games anymore. The Predators' GM has moved past corporate speak and diplomatic deflection straight into brutal honesty territory. His recent comments about contacting player agents to gauge trade interest represent a white flag, an admission that this season is unsalvageable and the roster construction was fundamentally flawed. You hear this from a lot of teams. We're looking for a top six forward, Trotz stated matter-of-factly. I have a couple of top sixes. I've talked to their agents. I just want to get a feel for things. If we get this turned around, it'll be fine. If we don't, then maybe they want to say, hey, I'm getting a little older. I want another crack at it. Can we do something? Translation: everything is available. Steven Stamkos, despite his full no-trade clause and legendary status, available. Jonathan Marchessault, the Vegas hero they just signed, available. And Ryan O'Reilly, the most coveted piece on the roster, absolutely available. This creates a seller's market for Nashville despite their abysmal record. Multiple teams are circling, which means Trotz can maintain his asking price. He doesn't need to discount O'Reilly just because the Predators are terrible. In fact, their terribleness might increase O'Reilly's value by making him more eager to move to a competitive situation. The Montreal calculation: risk versus reward. So, here's the billion-dollar question facing Kent Hughes. Do you pull the trigger? The injury crisis is real and immediate. Montreal needs center depth not next season or in 2 years. They need it now. O'Reilly provides that instantly while also mentoring younger players like Doc and Newhook when they return. His championship pedigree could accelerate the development of Montreal's young core by showing them what professional excellence looks like daily. The contract is manageable and expires before Montreal needs to extend their young stars to significant deals. If the Canadiens make an unexpected playoff push, O'Reilly becomes invaluable in high-pressure situations. Even if Montreal doesn't contend this year, having O'Reilly for next season provides flexibility and veteran stability. Surrendering a first-round pick and an A-level prospect represents significant future assets for a team still building. O'Reilly is 34 years old. The decline phase could arrive suddenly and without warning. His current production, 6 goals, 13 points in 22 games, is concerning regardless of context. Montreal might be better served maintaining their draft capital and prospect depth rather than chasing short-term solutions. The Canadiens could easily miss the playoffs even with O'Reilly, making this a wasted investment. Other teams with better championship odds might offer Nashville superior packages, pricing Montreal out entirely. The decision ultimately hinges on how Hughes and head coach Martin St. Louis view this team's trajectory. Are the Canadiens ahead of schedule in their rebuild, capable of competing sooner than anticipated? Or are they still a year or 2 away from genuine contention, making patience the wiser strategy? Here's another complicating factor. Montreal isn't operating in a vacuum. Multiple teams are reportedly interested in O'Reilly, which means this could quickly become a bidding war. Contending teams with genuine Stanley Cup aspirations might be willing to exceed Nashville's asking price, offering multiple picks or higher-tier prospects. If you're Kent Hughes, do you really want to get into an auction against teams like the Carolina Hurricanes, Dallas Stars, or other legitimate contenders? Those franchises can justify overpaying because they're one piece away. Montreal doesn't have that same urgency or justification. This market reality might ultimately make the decision for Hughes. Even if he wants O'Reilly, he might get priced out by teams with deeper pockets and more immediate championship windows. Ryan O'Reilly to Montreal makes sense on multiple levels: veteran leadership, affordable contract, championship experience, positional need. But it also represents a philosophical shift for a franchise that's preached patience and long-term thinking since Hughes took over as general manager. The injury crisis has forced Montreal's hand, accelerating their timeline whether they wanted it accelerated or not. Sometimes circumstances dictate strategy rather than the other way around. If Hughes believes this core is closer to contention than the standings suggest, if he thinks O'Reilly's presence could catalyze development and create a winning culture, then the price, steep as it is, might be justified. But if this is merely a panic move, a reaction to injuries rather than a calculated strategic decision, then Montreal risks mortgaging future assets for minimal present-day gain. The difference between those two scenarios will define Kent Hughes' tenure as Canadiens' general manager. One thing is certain: the hockey world will be watching closely as this situation develops. Nashville needs to sell, Montreal needs to buy, and Ryan O'Reilly, the 34-year-old championship center caught in the middle, represents either the missing piece or an expensive mistake. Time will tell which narrative proves accurate. What do you think? Should Montreal go all in on O'Reilly, or is this trade too risky for a rebuilding franchise? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to smash that like button if you want more in-depth hockey analysis that cuts through the noise and delivers the truth.